Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned into the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
What's up?
Wearing the Red Sox hat.
Yeah, man. I haven't gotten a haircut. My shit looks out of control.
Oh, it's about the haircut.
Yes.
I thought it was because baseball season's right around the corner.
Oh, yeah. Baseball. Yay.
Can you even name me
No.
3 current players on
Nope.
the Red Sox?
No. No.
No.
Johnny Damon.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the videos of his most recent DUI?
Yeah. Pedro.
What a nice guy. Like, literally, he's an Orlando guy, too. I'm like, what a nice guy.
Should have him on the podcast.
We should. We should.
That's a good
I think, actually, we had Patrick Shishayan on the podcast.
You did, yes.
True story. I'm not bullshitting you here. I'm pretty sure that they are blood related.
No.
Patrick Shishayan and Johnny Damon, I believe.
No way.
Yeah. Yep. Both are from Orlando.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's how we got Dash on, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll reach
You
out to
never know.
Patrick.
You never know who Patrick knows.
Never
He
know.
is a loan officer, and as a loan officer, your job is to know people.
Hey, I
right?
got a guy.
Yeah, you got a guy. Yeah, Patrick's like, what do you want? You want like a professional wrestling, a WWE, AEW superstar? You want a Hall of Fame baseball player?
What do you need?
Yeah, what do you need? Yeah, I got it.
I got it.
No, today's episode.
Yeah.
You're going to call the shots.
Okay.
But I'm going to say you're going to call the shots. You're the producer of the show.
Yeah.
You are the man behind the scenes, usually commenting to viewers and listeners, whether it's through our email or Instagram, Facebook,
YouTube machine, yeah.
et cetera. So you've been fielding a lot of requests as of late.
Yes.
And you're seeing a common theme. So you'd asked me off camera, hey, can we dive into one of these?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like which one makes the most sense to you?
For sure.
So let's go. Which one?
What I've been seeing is, how do I pick my employer? Seems like a lot of newer people are joining the awesome industry that is mortgages. And they're becoming LOs. A lot of people are getting their certifications. But after they get their certifications, they're curious as what is the next step? How do I pick where to work? I've listened to some of your episodes. I kind of know what to look for, but how do I look for what to look for, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and I think we can definitely run with this.
Yeah.
Like, we are going to run with this. So let's go ahead and cue up the titles. How do I choose my employer?
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be the title of the show. And this is for loan officers, but this is going to apply to really anyone else.
For sure.
I mean, if you think about it, the same principles of choosing your employer should go into play just about any industry that you go in. Like the first one, like I have a rule of thumb when I'm hiring someone, I don't hire assholes. Okay? So, like if you're an asshole, need not apply.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm going into interview for a job, I might not want to work for assholes. So the first thing I'm going to go do is the person who I'm interviewing with or hiring, is he or she an asshole? And if they are, I might not want to work there.
For sure.
Because I am looking for someone who is going to share in a lot of the same core values that I share in. So that would be rule number 1.
Okay.
Okay, rule number 2 is understanding when you go into the interview or you start your research that this does not have to be a for life type relationship. Okay, it'll be monogamous, meaning you're going to work this job, you're going to give your full and your whole heart into what you're doing, but you know darn well going into it, it might not be your forever job. It may well be. I mean, it may very well be. I'm sitting at 13 years at Waterstone Mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing another 13.
Yeah.
Like I nowhere in my outlook, I'm like, man, where's my next gig? No, I found a great company. I invest in that company. The company invests back in me. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to be looking for is where is your win-win? And your win-win, there's 2 wins there, right?
Okay.
So where's the win for you, but where's the win for them?
All right.
Put yourself in your hiring manager's shoes. Like, what are you bringing to the table that's going to bring value to their organization? But more importantly, you should be asking them, what are you bringing to the table that's going to be bringing value to me as the professional?
Yeah.
This is where the decision-making really becomes crucial. Like hey, am I an asshole? Don't hire me. You're an asshole. I won't go work for you. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to figure that out in the first 7 to 13 minutes.
Yeah.
But the figuring out the win-win, so many times I see, especially younger professionals, it's me. Hey, John, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And if you're hiring this person, you may be thinking back saying, but what are you going to bring to the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, something that and this is a small rabbit hole that I'm going to dive down just because it's a little bit relevant to where I'm getting ready to go. Tenure. 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 Please. I hope I spelled that right.
I don't know. How that's...
Yeah. But to be tenured somewhere is to have longevity.
Yeah.
Okay. Never go work for somewhere where you expect a raise based on tenure. You expect a promotion based on tenure. Okay, that means they're going to promote you or give you a raise, not because you're better, not because you deserved it, but because you outlasted other people.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, the world doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
You could work for an employer for 7 or 17 years, and someone worked for the employer for 3 or 5 years. They get promoted before you because they earned that promotion.
Yeah.
Small rabbit hole, but it goes along with the win-win mentality.
Yeah.
Employers need it. Right, look, how do employers win? Well, we win when our employees are productive. Their productivity leads to profit. Their profit, the profitability of the company leads to big fat bonuses to us.
Yeah.
Right, like if you're running a company, that's how you get paid.
Yeah.
But if I'm running a company and that's all I care about is profits and bonuses to me, I'm missing it. I am missing the big picture because I'm not thinking about the win for my associates. Okay, that's not a company you want to go work for. No different than, do you want to be that employee, that associate, that it's all about you? Well, what are you going to do for me? And how can I make more money? And how can I can tell you can earn more money, right? And we've actually talked about that on various episodes, probably some of the earlier episodes. Yeah. In fact, I go back to Louis Valsaint, right? Entrepreneurship, like bring value. Okay, so getting out of these rabbit holes.
That's good.
Get back on track.
Yeah.
When you're trying to choose the best company for you, you then have to figure out where are you trying to go in your career? Are you trying to jump head first into I'm going to own my own book of business. I want to be that loan officer that from the get-go, I want to be the person who is responsible for going out and building my brand, marketing myself, and creating referral relationships that'll last me a lifetime. If you are, then you need to go find an employer who does that well. And how do you know if they do that well? Ask to speak to their top producers. How many top producers do they have? Yeah. How long have had those top producers been with them? Were those top producers created and made at that employer? Or were those top producers created and made elsewhere and then recruited over? Because there's certain companies that they may do a fantastic job of supporting top producers, but a miserable job of creating top producers.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
There's going to be employers who do a great job of teaching the business to anyone new, but maybe their loan officers plateau. Maybe they do a great job of getting you off the ground, but they don't know how to help you level up.
Damn, that makes so much sense.
So these are things that you have to think about when you have to think about first, where are you trying to go and where are you? Because someone could be brand spanking new.
Yeah.
And have zero desire to go out and build their own brand, their own name, their own referral sources. Right now, all their in fact, they may even have like paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
And they're so petrified to go out and talk to someone because they feel like they are not quote unquote good yet. They just need to get on the phone, smile and dial, take a bunch of apps, close a bunch of loans, refis, etc., before they had the comfort level to go out into the community and start marketing themselves as an expert.
Right.
Others, and I was in this boat, realized that, man, if I passed a class like Zenix's ground school or flight school, and I have my NMLS and I passed that exam.
Hell, you could.
Oh, look, I know enough to know that I'm not great at what I do, but I also know enough to know that I know through schooling alone more than 98% of all other potential homeowners.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, as long as I surround myself with great technicians, then I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Other people, no. They're going to need to go out and maybe work for a bank, work for a credit union, work in a call center, and take 100 applications and close 30 or 40 loans before they're ready to take that leap. And some people may never want to do it. Right, so like all this has to go into play when you have to figure out what type of loan officer do you want to be and understand You don't know. So what type of loan officer do you think you want to be?
Yeah.
Right? When you close your eyes and throw a dart at a dartboard, are you a call center LO, a bank LO, a credit union LO, a bank builder LO, or are you going to go out and build your own book of business? Be that type of loan officer.
Yeah.
Once you decide that, that'll help you then back into, well, which employer fits best.
That makes sense.
For what I'm trying to do, and understanding that, look, I would like to believe I am the type of employer. Now, I meaning my management team, right? Here at Waterstone Mortgage in the Southeast region, if we want to get very specific, and if we want to get super granular, in Orlando, Florida, we do it all really well.
Yeah.
Like, we have had success bringing in people with zero experience and turning them into $36 million producers. One of them was Patrick Shishayan, who we've already talked about once on this episode.
Yeah.
But we've had other originators on this episode, on this show. Barry Botwin. Barry, we didn't teach the business to at Waterstone. Barry learned the business working for another really good local company. But after 10 years with that company, Barry had plateaued. And 2, 3, 4 years of stagnant production, he realized he had to go somewhere where they're used to coaching, mentoring, and supporting top producers.
Okay.
Barry came here and tripled his business. Almost after this year, would have quadrupled his business in just 6 years.
That makes sense.
Right. So, but not every company can do that, right? You have to find out in your local market. Yeah. And by the way, just because Waterstone is great in one market doesn't necessarily mean it's the same type of great in a different market.
What does that mean? If you can articulate.
Yeah. So I would like to believe we only hire great people. Right?
Yeah.
But it's different variations of great. You know, you may have this particular office and you name that geographic region. I mean, here at Waterstone, we lend in 48 of the 50 states. I think we have physical offices in like 30 of them.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. It's somewhere ballpark range.
Yeah.
But the management style of a branch in Atlanta, Georgia, shout out to Jasmine and Jeff, may vary greatly to the management style of someone in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Shout out to Keena, Molly, and Andy. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, so you are interviewing the person and their specific branch culture as much as you are, you know, the company itself.
That makes sense.
Right. So, like if I said guaranteed rate's a great company if you're already doing $100 million in volume. Maybe it's not a great company if you're doing less than 36 million. And by the way, I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so like these are things that you really have to think about.
Yeah.
As a suitor, right? You are applying. Now, if you're coming to the table with no loans and no book of business, please also understand you don't have much of a leg to stand on. You're selling yourself.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say, speaking for like the newer LOs, hey, just got licensed. I have no book of business. I have nothing. I have no database. Is there a percentage of like, hey, most people start off by then going to a bank and then hopping out? Is there like a certain defined path that newer LOs tend to generally always take rather than?
There's no defined path.
Okay.
Right. So a couple key points I want to make. One is on that path. Most of us got into the business by happenstance. Very few of us who have been around 10, 20, 30 years, raised our hand and said, that looks like a kick-ass industry, let me jump into it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I was in TV advertising, and I could have easily gone into life insurance sales. I could have gone into becoming a financial advisor. I could have gone wholesale versus retail. I mean, I was just looking for a job in the general financial sales, service, consultative, type industry that circled around personal finance because I just like personal finance.
Yeah.
So for those people who are raising their hands, one, kudos to you guys and girls.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. This is a fantastic industry that will provide for decades to come.
Yeah.
Technology will disrupt. We will adapt, but the industry as a whole will be there.
Yeah.
So if you're raising your hand and you're entering it, hopefully you're entering it for the right reasons. And if you're entering it to make a quick, easy buck, don't. Get the hell out. Like, peace, deuces. Like, don't. Like, you should do nothing in life because of the quick, easy buck. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, there's a really good saying. Oh, if it's new, it's not true, and if it's true, it's not new, right? I mean, look, hard work pays off. There's a reason for that. It's a grind.
Yeah.
So if you're getting into it because you saw a bunch of people making quick money on refis, okay, that's gone. Like literally, that's gone. We can do episodes every single day based on how the interest rate market's deteriorating and rates are shooting up. Cool. People are still buying houses. If you're getting into this industry for the right reason, the right reason will never show you a quick, easy buck. Does this industry have an opportunity to have a limitless income? Yes. Do you get to every single day wake up unemployed? Yes. Most of us. Now, granted, if you're a call center or a credit union loan officer, maybe you have a small salary. You know, again, different strokes, different folks. But for those of us that are trying to achieve the pinnacle, which to me the pinnacle is I own my own book of business. These are my referral sources, my past clients. It's my social media. It's my networking skills. Oh, and by the way, it's my technical skills. Once I get the phone to ring, it's my technical skills who are deal structuring and giving advice to the consumer. That's the pinnacle because those are the people who are making $400,000, $800,000, $1 million to $2.5 million a year. They have done that aspect of it. So if you're getting into the business and that's what you want to do, then yeah, what comes with the territory is you have to work your butt off. You have to put in a lot of long hours. You have to understand that you're waking up every day unemployed, right? Most of us are 100% commissioned. When you're 100% commissioned, you wake up every single day like, I'm unemployed today. Yeah. So what do you want to do about it? Yeah. You know, most of us easily signed up for 100% commission because it doesn't freak us out. It actually excites us. It propels us. It may even scare us into motion.
Yeah, for sure.
But it scares us into motion forward.
Yeah.
So I kind of digressed a little bit there. Apologize to the listeners and the viewers. I'll circle back to how do you find the employer? Just know that what's right for you might not be what's right for John, which might not be right for Dustin. You have to do you. You have to find what fits you. You may walk in somewhere and love the boiler room type atmosphere.
Yeah.
You may love all the whiteboards and the bells that get rung and the whistles that are blown, and you may thrive off of that. You may love that. And there may be a shop that does a tremendous good for the masses. They may be specializing in debt consolidation refinances, right? Where they're taking people who have gotten themselves backed into a corner with a bunch of consumer debt, but they did one good thing, which was buy a house 8 years ago. Yeah. Now they have a boatload of wealth, but they can't access it. So now someone is teaching them how to utilize some of their wealth, pay off their debt, and really put themselves on a path to financial freedom. You may just love that. I may walk in and literally see Uncle Guido with his hair slicked back and a pinky ring on, and it's reminding me of the guy who's going to bring out a bat in the movie of Goodfellas and whack me with it. Like, not my thing. Yeah. You know, where to someone else it is. There's no right or wrong. I think it's personal preference. Same thing goes for working at a bank. Someone may find working at a bank is too stuffy. Oh, I have call logs. Oh, I have to be there at 8 and I can't leave until 5. And
very structured though, if you need structure.
Yes. But if you crave structure, if you love dressing up, you need that accountability. Yeah. And you may love attaching your name to someone like USAA or Navy Federal or Chase or Wells Fargo. These are big companies that probably also come with big corporate perks or big corporate benefits.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And by the way, those gigs, whether it's the Smile and Dial, boiler room, or whether it's working for a big bank or a big credit union, those may be the best opportunities for you for that time period. So I said earlier, understand that although the relationship will be monogamous, it might not be long term. You may choose to work at XYZ place, one of the two I mentioned, and it's great for year 1, it's great for year 2. By year 3, it runs its course. Yeah. It runs its course. It's time for you to take the next step. Okay. Make sure when you leave graciously. Make sure that every day you stepped in there, you brought value. and make sure that you held your management team accountable into your development. It's a win-win, right? That would be a win-win. Same thing goes, if you worked at the bank, you worked at the call center, the same thing applies. You have to choose what's best for you today, understanding that what's best for you today might not be what's best for you in 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years down the road.
That's a great point.
Like when I got into the mortgage business, not once did I think I'm going to stop producing.
Right. Do you probably know?
That wasn't, no. The furthest I could think is I wanted to build my network of referral sources so deep and so wide that I never had to go out and make a sales call, that all I had to do was put my feet on the desk, put my headset on, and play party poker and wait for the phone to ring. That's when party poker was like all the rage. Like go back to like 2004.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, like that. But I was like, man, if I could do that, I made it. Here I am, fast forward 16 years later, and I've given up my book of business. Yeah. Now, my loan partner, Kevin, for the past, 10 years took over the book of business. He earned it.
You dabble from time to time.
Oh, yeah. No, I cover for Kevin when he's gone, and I definitely like to get my hands dirty. And I still do a couple pre-quals a week, and I try to do a loan application every month, quarter, a year.
The question for you now, you've hired a lot of people. You've been around the industry at multiple levels, and you've given tips about like, hey, take a loan officer out if you want to get to pick their brain about how the branch is. Do you have any other tips about finding out about a particular employer besides just going out and finding like a list of the loan officers and like asking them like, hey, how's it to work here? Like, what if you?
No, but that's the best advice I could give someone.
Really?
Like I can't. Yes, ready? Join your local mortgage bankers association.
Okay.
Right? There is a mortgage bankers association. Join it. Join your local realtor associations. There's also going to be a National Association of Mortgage Brokers, NAMB, I think, NAMB.
Yeah.
There's also NAMBA. I mean, there's a ton of organizations that you can start joining now to network, get to know people, and then pick their brains. But I think things you want to do, I would reach out to the companies, to the loan officers, to people who actually work there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk to people who've been there for 3 years, 7 years. How many do they have that have been there for 10? How many do they have that have been there for 10? If you've been there less than a year, I probably don't want to talk to you. Look, it's not that you can't tell me something that's going to be beneficial. It's just I don't know if you know enough right now. You still may be drinking the Kool-Aid. And, I kind of want you, maybe you still have the blue on your lips.
A little bit more.
Yeah, but you're done drinking it. You're done drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would find someone who's been there for minimum of a year, then someone for 3 years, and then someone who's 7 or more. And look to see how many people have been there for 10 years.
That's such a great point. Because if you see this high turnover, like, everybody's been, you got a lot of new people fresh, but they've only been like 2 years and turnover's high. Then
yes, same thing goes for your hiring manager. Who are you going to work for? Ultimately, you're going to work for some kind of a sales manager or branch manager. Whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's the NMLS Consumer Access. Google NMLS Consumer Access. That website, you can look up any loan originator, any licensed originator in the country.
Really?
And it shows you their work history. Wow. So you may ask yourself, do I want to go work for someone who he or she themselves have only been at the company for a short time period? Now, maybe you would because it's someone who was at the previous employer for 4 years, but they just took a promotion to help open up a market. Like we're doing that in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Like I'm looking to open up a branch in Jacksonville, Florida. So whoever goes and works for Waterstone in Jacksonville, they're only going to have been there for 3, 6, or 9 months before we start, looking to grow the branch.
Yeah.
But I would then look to see, well, where were they prior? Oh, they were at that employer for 4 years or 5 years?
Right.
Okay, because what you don't want to do is try to align yourself with someone who every 9 to 18 months, they're jumping ship looking for the next great opportunity. Because look, at the end of the day, there's dozens of good mortgage companies out there. There's a half a dozen great mortgage companies out there. So if I did a dozen, and that's 18.
Yeah. There's not two.
A good, solid leader can be successful at any one of those 18 employers. Any one. So if someone is finding it difficult to be successful at XYZ company, and then they go to 1, 2, 3 to
ABC.
It's just like, whoa, wait. Yeah, maybe it's the person in the mirror that needs to have a heart-to-heart with themselves. And, so that's something. Ready? When you're looking, we're kind of all over the place.
No, but
today.
That's good.
But when you're looking for an employer, research who you're going to be working for. Not just the company, but the individual, especially in this industry. Because who you work for, the management team, is more important than the actual company. In most cases, especially in this industry. Now, maybe there's some other industries where managers come and go. You get a new one every 12 months, every 24 months. But in this industry, we rely heavily on our sales managers and our branch managers and our area managers to be the culture leaders, to be the coaches, the mentors, to be the person that you turn to when you don't know how to structure that deal, but this person can help you out. Well, what type of person are they? I look for people with longevity. If I'm looking to hire you, whether you have experience in the mortgage industry or not, one of the things I'm going to look for is longevity at your previous employer.
Yeah. That makes
it
sense.
worked for you?
I mean, yeah.
12. I mean, you were how many years at EA?
12.
12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stands out.
Yeah.
I hired a young professional. I think she's like 21 years old, but she was with the same employer. Publix, by the way, shout out to Pub Subs, right? Anyone in the Southeast knows their Pub Subs.
Yeah.
I know Publix. I prefer their fried hot and spicy chicken wings, but anyhow, that stood out.
Yeah.
3 years? That's a long time for someone who's 21 years old.
That is.
So just like your employer's going to be looking at that for you, you should look at that for your employer.
Yeah.
More for the manager you'd be working for.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. So I think those are, if I were to try to condense it and make this episode like 90 seconds, right? I would tell people, summarize here.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole. Don't work for assholes. So the very first thing you have to do is figure out, are you going to go work for an asshole? And if the person is one, then you don't go work there. Okay. The second, can I create a win-win situation? Win-win means you bring value to the company and they bring value to you.
Yep.
Understanding that the relationship will be monogamous, but not necessarily long-term. It could be long-term. So the thing you want to point out is if it's not long-term, then what type of longevity am I looking at? Is this a 3-year stint, a 5-year stint, a 7-year stint? If it doesn't have longevity, that means at some point you're going to plateau. At some point you're going to cap out.
Yep.
At which point you'll need to move on to your next move.
Yeah.
Or you may find this is the perfect company because I can create a win-win from day one.
Yeah.
And I have longevity because if I do well, this company has shown through experience that they know how to take someone who's brand new and turn them into a top producer. They know how to take someone who's already a top producer and support them to continue to be a top producer. They know how to take someone who's already been in the business for 10 years, but maybe they've plateaued over the past 3 years, and they can help them break through that plateau, right? So like those are things that you're looking for when you're interviewing, when you're trying to choose the employer. Sales culture matters. What do they do? What type of training do they offer? So what do they do to support you? What type of training do they offer? Because you need that, especially if you're newer in the business. But you also need that if you're plateaued.
That's a good point.
Who can you talk to within the organization who's been there for 1, 3, 5, and 7+ years? How many people do they have in their organization who have been there for 10 years? Then the person you're going to go work for, how long have they been with the employer? And if they haven't been with the employer for a long period of time, because maybe your company just came into the market, so it's impossible for anyone. Like if the company came into the market 13 months ago, well, 13 months is the longest you're going to work for that employer.
Yeah.
But where were they prior to that, and then for how long?
Yeah.
Right. I was looking at someone's LinkedIn over the weekend, actually. I liked an interview that he did with Frank and Brian from the National Real Estate Post. And I clicked on his link. I was like, oh, he's only been in that company for 2.5 years. But then I opened it up, and I was like, oh, but he was with his previous employer for 7 years. And then, because I know the mortgage industry, I saw that technically he was with his previous employer for 12. It was just that he had worked for a company who got bought out by a larger company.
Okay, yeah.
So on LinkedIn, it showed as 2. I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden, that person's credibility went, I loved his interview. Then I saw how long he was at his current employer, and I was like, kind of got knocked down a little bit. Yeah. And then when I opened up his profile and I saw, wait a minute, he was with his previous employer who I know the company pretty well for 10 plus years. All of a sudden that credibility got put back.
That makes sense.
So these are things that you're going to be looking for, but understand it's not a one size fits all. You have to do what's best for you today. Mm-hmm. You need to bring value, and you need to ask what type of value is going to be brought to you. Lastly, people are probably thinking, well, Dio, how the hell do I bring value? Like I'm still trying to pass my exam. I haven't even reached out to Xenix yet. Like, what do I do? Okay, how do you bring value? This is a sales gig, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't know it, it's a sales gig. Okay, at some point in your career, you're going to have to sell yourself in order to get a lead. Then when the lead comes in, you're going to have to sell that person on you being the right professional for them. And then when you get their loan and you structure it, you may have to sell it to an underwriter to see things the way that you see them, to interpret the rules and guidelines the way that you interpret the rules and guidelines. Yeah. So it's a sales gig. If you don't have a book of business that you're bringing over, meaning you can't show me where the previous 3 months you closed $1 million a month. Here's my W-2 from last year. Here's my pay stub from last year. Here's my production report. Mm-hmm. All things that, by the way, if you were a seasoned veteran, would very well be asked of you, and you could offer to a future employer who's hiring you. Then what could you bring? I don't know. Could you bring 3 refis in the door with you with your interview? With your interview, could you not bring a list of people that you're going to call? People you've already called that you know have not refinanced yet and could potentially be refinancing.
Damn, that's a great point.
Could you bring a list of 20 realtors and builders in your local market that you're connected to that are going to be the first people you call as soon as you're hired? Damn. You know, like these are things that you would do in order to bring value. Yeah. Again, are you willing to work nights and weekends? That could be something that a certain branch or employer, they may have builder relationships. So when you work with a builder, builders need weekend coverage.
That's true.
Are you willing to do that? Maybe someone more senior than you isn't, but maybe you are. Are you willing to do the night duty? Right? Some people like to talk to their lender once they get off work.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I like to go home at 5:30.
It sounds like it doesn't matter what level you're at, there's a way to bring value. You just got to...
Well, you have to think about it, and put yourself in your hiring manager's shoes.
That's a great point.
But an easy way that you can bring value is to show up with a list of people that you're going to be calling on and building relationships with. You bring value in the mortgage industry by either capturing and converting the leads that are provided to you at a higher percentage than what your peers are doing. You always will bring value to any organization if you can bring them revenue.
He who controls the leads controls the money, Dustin.
Yeah, correct, John Coleman. You are correct. Yeah, so that would be a good way for you to bring value.
It's great.
How did we do?
I thought that was great. I learned a lot.
Did you?
Yeah, for real.
Hopefully you're not looking for another job anytime soon.
No, that was good.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be hiring someone. How about that? Let's put that out in the universe, John.
No, I don't. I'm not. My managerial style is solo, dolo. Me. I got to do what's best for me, just like you said.
So what you're saying is just go ahead and get out the overtime check, right?
Scalability is also something that needs to be discussed.
No, so hopefully this answered the viewer questions for how do I find an employer. You mentioned it. I'm gonna close with it. Pick up the phone. Call 5 realtors in your market. Ask them, who is the best lender you know? Write down that person's name. Look them up on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Google. Call them. Figure out where they work. Offer them coffee. Let them know what you're trying to do. I would tell you 9 out of 10 would agree to meet with you. 9 out of 10, at minimum, have a Zoom call with you.
Right, something.
They were once you. I promise.
Yeah.
They were once you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hung up with a gentleman out in Arizona, a guy by the name of Matthew. Matthew hit me up for the weekend, which, by the way, I'm not going to return phone calls on the weekend, but cool. He probably didn't expect me to. In fact, his message was like, hey, Dio, can you do a show on this?
Oh, no.
It was similar to this, actually.
Okay.
Right? But it wasn't quite this.
Okay.
But I just picked up the phone call while you're getting everything set up here in the office studio and called him. And answered his questions, and he was kind of like, whoa, you're doing this? I'm like, bro, I was once you. Like, we all start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So don't be afraid. Like, if you don't know who to call, who's hiring, who's not, call a loan officer in your local market who works for a company that you think is a type of company that you'd want to work for. There's also publications out there. There's Scotsman Guide.
Oh, okay,
So the
yeah.
Scotsman Guide
Yep.
will publish like the top 1% originators. I think it's also Mortgage Originator Magazine.
Okay.
Also does those types of publications. I'm sure you could Google both Scotsman Guide and Mortgage Originator Magazine and see what companies are listed in the top 50 or the top 100. See what originators are listed in the top 1%. Find some that are in your market and pick up the phone and call them. Introduce yourself. Ask them if they have a free 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Invite them out to coffee if your 10 or 15 minutes over the phone went well. And then ask them who within their organization they could put you in contact with. Yeah. And then you interview them as much as they interview you, because it's your career that you're trying to take control of.
It's great.
He's John Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. You've tuned into the Loan Officer Podcast. If you like what we're doing, please share this.
Yeah.
Please like it.
Yeah.
Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up on LinkedIn. Hit us up on Facebook at the Loan Officer Podcast. And you can watch this show on YouTube.
Yeah, binge.
Binge if you'd like.
Yeah.
But we produce 2 shows a week, every single week. Check us out. We love to hear from you. If there's something that we're not doing and you want to see us do it, let us know.
Yep.
If there's something that we did but you want it done better, let us know. And if you don't like something that we're doing, keep it to yourself or email John Coleman directly and let John know. You'll hurt my feelings. But that's all the time we have for today. John, thank you for producing today's show.
Thank you.
I'm Dio. He's John Coleman, and we're
Peace.